Just 2 years ago, they called me the next Warren Buffett. Forbes featured me on their billionaire lists. I met with world leaders, and celebrities were on my payroll. My personal worth was estimated at over $26 billion by the time I was 29. Now, I'm the most hated man in crypto. And this is the story of how it all happened. You've likely seen the pictures, the messy hair, the cargo shorts, the well-used Toyota Corolla. It was all a carefully crafted part of the myth. I wasn't just another financier in the suit. I was different. I was the nerdy math prodigy, the son of 2 Stanford law professors, but an MIT graduate myself, who was going to use his intellect to make a fortune and then give it all away. It was a compelling story, and for a long time, nearly everyone believed it. It all began with a simple observation. After graduating from MIT with a degree in physics, I was working at Jane Street Capital, a high-frequency trading firm. Jane Street hires brilliant minds to find minute skills, fleeting inefficiencies in the market, and they make billions from it. I learned a great deal there, but I saw a much larger opportunity in a new, chaotic market that Wall Street was still too cautious to enter: cryptocurrency. In 2017, I noticed a wild inefficiency. Bitcoin was trading at different prices on various exchanges globally. You could buy it for $10,000 in the US and sell it for $11,000 in Japan. It was a straightforward arbitrage with enormous spreads. It felt like finding free money, and almost no one was taking it. So I quit my job, moved to Berkeley, and started a quantitative trading firm with a few smart colleagues. We named it Alameda Research, a deliberately boring name to sound respectable, not like some volatile crypto venture. In our first year, we made millions just from that price difference. But relying on other exchanges was a nuisance. They were clunky, unreliable, and their rules were inconsistent. I thought, we can do this better. The real money wasn't just in trading crypto, it was in building the casino itself. So, in 2019, we launched FTX. The name stands for Futures Exchange. FTX was designed to be the best crypto exchange in the world, faster, more powerful, and more dependable than anything else available. We offered complex derivative products that sophisticated traders desired, and our growth was explosive. We moved the entire operation from Hong Kong to the Bahamas, a crypto-friendly location where we could build our empire with few questions asked. At its peak, FTX was valued at $32 billion. The image was paramount. I leaned into the persona of the eccentric genius, too preoccupied with changing the world to care about material possessions. While my team and I lived in a $40 million luxury penthouse in the Bahamas, I ensured the world saw images of me sleeping on a beanbag in the office. I spoke endlessly about effective altruism, a philosophy centered around making as much money as possible to donate it to the most effective charities. I pledged to give away my fortune and co-founded the FTX Future Fund, which announced commitments of over $160 million to various causes. The media embraced the narrative. They called me the J.P. Morgan of crypto, a stabilizing force in a volatile industry. When other crypto firms began to fail, I bailed them out, positioning myself as the lender of last resort. As I would later admit, it was all just PR. My advocacy for regulation was a front. I told a reporter my ethics stick was mostly a front, a dumb game that proved remarkably effective. And it was effective. We needed millions of users, so we spent a fortune on marketing. We bought the naming rights to the Miami Heat's arena. We hired some of the world's biggest celebrities. Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen starred in our commercials asking, "FTX, you in?" Stephen Curry, Naomi Osaka, and Shaquille O'Neal all became brand ambassadors. We even featured Larry David in a Super Bowl ad where he dismisses great inventions only to scoff at FTX. The tagline was, "Don't be like Larry." The irony now is almost too painful to acknowledge. The pitch was simple. FTX was a safe and trustworthy platform for regular people to deposit money and trade crypto. The message was that it worked much like a bank, where you could deposit your dollars and withdraw them at will. Alameda Research, my other company, was presented as a completely separate trading firm. I told this to Congress, to our investors, and to our customers. It was the bedrock of our business. But it was a lie. Every story of a spectacular collapse has a starting point, a moment when the first crack appears. For me, that was November 2nd, 2022. On that day, the crypto news site CoinDesk published an article based on a leaked document, the balance sheet of my trading firm, Alameda Research. The report revealed something that was never meant to be public. A massive portion of Alameda's assets, billions of dollars, wasn't held in cash or stable investments. It was in FTT, the cryptocurrency token we, FTX, had created from nothing. Imagine a bank whose most valuable asset is a pile of its own gift cards. It looks valuable on paper, but any attempt to sell them all at once would cause the price to crash. The CoinDesk article exposed that illusion. It demonstrated that my two companies, which I had sworn were separate, were dangerously intertwined. Alameda was being propped up by a token created by FTX. My first instinct was to project calm. Carolyn Allison, then CEO of Alameda, took to Twitter claiming the leaked balance sheet was incomplete and that we had other assets. I followed on November 7th, tweeting, "FTX is fine. Assets are fine." It was a lie. I thought we had weeks to fix it. We had only hours. The report spooked the market, but the real panic began when my biggest rival, Changpeng Zhao, or CZ, founder of the world's largest crypto exchange, Binance, poured gasoline on the fire. On November 6th, CZ announced that Binance would sell its entire holding of FTT tokens, worth over $500 million, citing recent revelations. That tweet was a declaration of war. CZ knew precisely what he was doing. Announcing such a large sale of a thinly traded token was like shouting fire in a crowded theater. It triggered a complete meltdown in the price of FTT, erasing billions from Alameda's balance sheet in real time. And then came the bank run. Suddenly, everyone wanted their money out of FTX. We were hit with a tidal wave of withdrawal requests, totaling billions of dollars in a single day. At first, we kept up, but behind the scenes, a terrifying reality was setting in. The money simply wasn't there. This is where the lie became undeniable. For years, I had been secretly using FTX customer funds to support Alameda. When customers deposited money into FTX, I treated it as my personal piggy bank to cover Alameda's incredibly risky and unsuccessful bets. My co-founder, Gary Wang, would later testify that at my direction, he built a secret feature in FTX's code that allowed Alameda to borrow a virtually unlimited amount of money, a $65 billion line of credit no other user had. When the bank run started, the vault was empty. We owed our customers about $8 billion that we did not have. I was desperate, spending the next 48 hours frantically trying to raise money from any investor who would take my call. For one surreal moment, it seemed a bailout might come from CZ himself. On November 8th, he tweeted that Binance had signed a non-binding letter of intent to acquire FTX. The relief lasted less than 24 hours. The next day, Binance backed out, stating that after a look at our books, the issues are beyond our control or ability to help. It was the final nail in the coffin. With the Binance deal dead, there was nowhere left to turn. On November 11th, 2022, I filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy for FTX, Alameda Research, and over 100 affiliated companies. I resigned as CEO. John J. Ray III, the man who cleaned up after Enron, took my place. He stated he had never seen such a complete failure of corporate controls and such a complete absence of trustworthy financial information. The fall was faster than I could have imagined. 1 month after the bankruptcy, on December 12, 2022, I was arrested in the Bahamas at the request of the U.S. government. After about 10 days in a Bahamian jail, I agreed to be extradited to the United States. I was released on a staggering $250 million personal recognizance bond, secured by my parents' house and confined to their home in Palo Alto. The charges were overwhelming. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams called it one of the biggest financial frauds in American history. I faced a sweeping indictment for wire fraud, securities fraud, commodities fraud, and money laundering. The government alleged I had systematically stolen at least $8 billion from customers since 2019 to cover Alameda's losses, make illegal political donations, and purchase lavish real estate. In my own mind, however, I was not guilty of fraud. My narrative was one of a catastrophic failure of risk management, not deliberate crime. I portrayed myself as an overwhelmed CEO who got in over his head. In a series of bizarre interviews against my lawyer's advice, I tried to explain this. "Look, I screwed up," I said, "but I never admitted to fraud." The problem was that my closest friends, my inner circle, were telling a very different story. My trial began on October 3, 2023. One by one, the people I had trusted most testified against me, having pleaded guilty and agreed to cooperate with the prosecution. First was Gary Wang, my co-founder. He testified that from the beginning, I had directed him to alter FTX's code to give Alameda its secret, unlimited line of credit drawn from customer funds. Then came Caroline Ellison, the former CEO of Alameda. Her testimony was devastating. She told the court I was the one who set up these systems to take customer money and directed her to commit crimes. She confessed to sending fake balance sheets to lenders and said we had taken about $14 billion from FTX customers to cover losses and make illegal political donations. She painted a picture of me as a leader who believed rules did not apply to him. When I took the stand, I tried to stick to my script, acknowledging mistakes but claiming I was surprised by the depth of the financial hole. Under cross-examination, my story unraveled as the prosecutor repeatedly caught me in contradictions. The jury deliberated for only a few hours. On November 2, 2023, they returned a verdict, guilty, on all 7 counts. Conclusion. The legacy. On March 28, 2024, I stood before Judge Lewis A. Kaplan for sentencing. My lawyers argued for 6 or 7 years. The prosecution wanted 40 to 50. Before delivering his sentence, the judge made his view of me clear. He said I showed no remorse and regretted only that I made a very bad bet about the likelihood of getting caught. He dismissed my claims that customers would be repaid as misleading and speculative. The sentence was 25 years in prison with an order to forfeit over $11 billion. So here I am, from a fortune once estimated at over $26 billion to a prison cell, from the king of crypto to a convicted felon. My name is now mentioned in the same breath as Bernie Madoff. What is my legacy? I built an exchange that millions used, but I also orchestrated one of the largest financial frauds in history, destroying the savings of people who trusted me. In the chaos after the collapse, I told a reporter, I fucked up. But the trial established that it wasn't just a mistake. It was a conscious choice, repeated for years, a choice to lie and to steal. My stated goal was to have an impact. In the end, I suppose I did. I exposed the profound fragility of an industry built on hype. I triggered a regulatory crackdown that will shape the future of crypto for decades. And I showed the world how quickly a savior can become a villain. I gambled with other people's money and lost, spectacularly. I flew too close to the sun, and the world watched me burn. And that is how I became the most hated man in crypto.